What's going on, guys? It's Greg Dies, and welcome to another episode of Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to be discussing installing your head. So we've got a couple tips for you here. The first one, and this is the most common mistake I see out on the field or people that end up breaking a head or breaking a shaft, is you really need to make sure the head is all the way down on the shaft. So you can see in our heads, there's a spot here that holds the head in at the very top. You need to make sure the head is all the way in. So a lot of them are a little tighter, so you can press fit it most of the way. But to really get it on there, you want to take the end cap off. If you can't do that, that's okay, but you might end up smashing through the rubber. Take the head in your two hands like this and smash it on the ground as hard as you can. And that's going to make sure that the head is entirely into, or the shaft's entirely into the head socket. If you don't, you're probably going to end up putting too much stress on the throat of the head, and you might end up breaking it, which would be a shame. So once you've got it down all the way, you want to make sure the screw hole is entirely lined up. That's a good way to make sure it is in all the way. If there is no screw hole, the thing I catch people doing is trying to line the head holes up with the old shaft holes. If there isn't a screw hole with the head all the way down, you need to drill a new one. It's really easy with a self-tapping screw. Just take a drill and drill it right in there with the self-tapping screw. So those are the two biggest mistakes that I find, is people lining the head up just with a screw hole and not putting it all the way on. That's gonna lead to issues and possibly you breaking your head. So number two is if the head is too tight. We already covered head rattle, where the head and the shaft are too loose. Same thing, if you start combining brands for heads and shafts, you sometimes end with a shaft or a head that's a little too tight. What you want to do here is you want to heat the head up and cool the shaft down. That's going to make the shaft contract and get a little bit smaller, and heating the throat up is going to make the throat expand a little bit, and they should go right on. So to heat the head, you want to take them apart first off. So you're going to use a blow dryer, keep it like, 8 inches to a foot away from the throat, and just use a blow dryer to warm the throat of the head up, and that's going to make it expand a little bit. In the meantime, just with the freezer cracked on your fridge, stick just the top of the shaft in. I would say you have to heat the head up anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, maybe leave the shaft in for a little bit longer, and when you get them both out, they're probably going to slide together really, really well, and that'll lock that in nice and tight. Now, the other thing to think about is once you've got a shaft on a head that was really tight to begin with, it's going to be sometimes really tough to get off. So if you want to switch your head, you find that you can't just pull it off by pulling like this. So number one method is the buddy method. You take this end of the shaft, you get a buddy that has this end of the head, and you basically just yank apart as hard as you possibly can. Just make sure you don't, when it comes out, stab yourself with the shaft or hit yourself in the face. Number two is going to be the between the legs method. So in this, you're going to take the head, put it between your legs, and pull up as hard as possible. Same thing, you want to avoid hitting your face with the shaft when you do pull it out. Number three is going to be the step-in method. This is my least favorite because it does jack the pocket and the mesh up a little bit. Don't do this with cleats, do this with your tennis shoes. You're going to put the head on the ground, put your heel in the stick, and yank up on the shaft. A lot of times that angle will get it right out. So those are the tips for number one, installing your head, and number two, working with if you've got a head and a shaft that are a little bit tight on one another, get them together so they fit, and then get them apart if they're a little bit snug. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.